Hi YouTube, welcome back to Wtf Rc Cars. So, FRM303. I've shown you how to set it up on the MB4 and on the Pro, and now I'm going to take you through how you would go about swapping it to different RCs. It's got a 10 model memory and it's got an auto search function. So once you band multiple cars to it, I'm going to show you how you'd switch between different cars, and then I will also show you how you would bind to different transmitters. So if you were, say, using one of these to host a speedrun event, you're going to have multiple people with MB4s or Pros, and you're going to have multiple RCs. So I'll take you through showing you. You can follow my videos on how you set it up on the Pro and on the MB4. I've shown you how to bind it to normal and enhanced receivers. Now I'm going to show you how easy it is to switch between them all. And it's certainly one of the massive advantages this has got, where you could literally just have this set up as a receiver point, and then all your cars and all your transmitters would be able to bind to it, and it literally takes seconds to just swap between them. So let's bring you in for a close-up look, take you through how you do this, and then you start really seeing the massive advantage this thing's got. Not only if you've got multiple different things that you want to connect to it at sort of an event, but also the way that if you've got multiple cars and you take this to an event with you, just how quick it is to swap from car to car to car. So let's bring you in for a close-up look and take you through how it works. Right, so we've got a transmitter that is bound to us receiver. I've shown you how to set all that up. We're then going to power on the FRM303. So we get as first receiver, and you got your bind plug in, put it into bind mode. So we're then going to look to bind to it. So we want it all the way down, which is going to be classic two-way. Then we have it bound. That's your first RC, all bound to it, all set up and working. But what if we want a second RC? So we have as receiver. I've shown you how to set these up so it'll bind to a classic or enhanced. But what we need to do is change to a different model memory. So we then press and hold right. You've got 10 model memories, so all the way down, 1 flash is 1. 2 flash is now onto the second model memory. So then we need to select to make sure we're on that model memory. Then we can come out of model switch mode. Then we're going to have to bind as next receiver. So press and hold OK. All the way down again, because this is a classic one. So then we put as receiver into bind mode. Now we have 2 separate receivers, both bound to it. So if we turn the power off and back on, it binds instantly. If we then power off this receiver, then we power up our second receiver. Now it's on model memory 2, this is bound to model memory 1. So there's a number of ways we can do this. We can press and hold right. This is now in as model memory select, so we can either press down to go onto model memory 1 and then select it, then back out and it'll bind. Now another option we've got, so if we power that receiver off, we power this receiver on. As you see, it's not bound. if you forget which model memory, or you've got 10 so you can't remember which one, press and hold right. Once it's in select mode, press right again. It'll auto search and it'll scan all 10 model memories, and it'll connect to the RC that's actually powered on. So if we power this off again, we lose connection. You power the next RC back up. So we've got it powered. All you'd have to do is press and hold the right, then tap right. It'll auto search, bind straight to it. So you can bind up to 10 different receivers. Just remember, you need to bind it in classic or enhanced and 1 and 2 way. So that's how easy it is to swap your RCs. All you'd have to do on your actual transmitter, so let's focus on the transmitter itself. Now, unless you're going to set every single RC up with the same endpoints and everything, you're going to have to bind. When you swap receivers to a different RC, you obviously want all your settings for that RC. So what you'd need to do is have a different one set up. So if we just switch it, so you'd make sure your channel number definitions and everything are set. But in the RX set, you'd go to bind. Like in this case, we'd have it on the enhanced receiver into bind mode.
Binding successful.
So we'd already have everything set up on that, and your RX interface, we're using new port A, so we'd have that on S bus. So as you swap the receiver, you're going to want to make sure you're on the right model memory. And then let's get a servo plugged in just so you can see it working. So if we have that operating as the throttle, just so you can see it working. So then if we want to put this into action and swap to a different model, you'd power off the receiver. Let's power on this receiver. You would then need to swap your model memory. So it instantly swaps. Then you're going to have to swap your model memory on the actual radio, because obviously you want all your endpoints and everything to follow. So we'd then swap that, and then all your model settings and everything. Let's see which one this is connected to. Yep. So then you're controlling your next model. So all your endpoint settings are on this model, all ready to swap. Then if you want to run your next car, literally power off the receiver that you're running. You would swap your FRM303. So because it's already stored in a model memory, it's just really takes seconds to swap. Then you'd go to your model memory on your transmitter, and you swap that over, and then you're driving your next RC. So really quick and easy to swap your actual settings over. You've got all your settings for each individual RC. but you're not having to rebind and mess around with things every single time you want to swap. Does make it really quick and really convenient. Now, the other option we've got, this is showing you how to swap different RCs, but what if we want to swap a different transmitter and an RC? So let's power off the MB4
shutting down,
and bring in the Noble Pro.
welcome to Noble.
So you've now decided that a different user wants to use the repeater station. So all we have to do is go into RX set. We're already on the RC that we want to run. We're going to bind to an enhanced receiver. So we just power his receiver off. So we power off the receiver. Power it up in bind mode. You've already got this transmitter set up for S-bus and everything.
Binding successful.
So we bind to it. Let's make sure we've got as actual model memory set up properly for S-bus. So now we've got a car we can control. If you then want to swap to a different car, we just power off the receiver. Power up as next receiver. So this would be our car that belongs to this controller. Press and hold the right button. Just hit it again. And then you're off driving your next RC. So you've finished doing your run. You want to swap back. All we have to do is power off.
Signal lost.
So you then bring in the next RC that you want to run. So we'd make sure that that's got power. You'd turn off the current controller you're using. You turn back on the next one.
Welcome to Noble.
You'd go back to your bind mode.
Bind.
Tell it to bind. Power up the receiver in bind mode. And then you just press right on the FRM303. Press right again. Instantly swapped. Fully controllable. So it really is a very quick and convenient way. It's actually taking me longer to do it now because I'm unplugging and plugging receivers. But if you'd got multiple RCs all set up, as soon as you've bound it to this, you've got 10 actual receivers that you can switch between. And if it was one that wasn't bound to it, you can just press and hold the button, bind to it, and away you go. It's as quick as just powering this up with a bind on and putting whichever transmitter you want into bind mode. If you're just swapping between multiple memories on one transmitter, they can all bind to it without having to swap anything and rebind. So if it's on the same transmitter, you see it's still bound. So if you were just swapping car, just quickly a case of swap your model memory, press and hold right, tap right again, bound to it, and off you go with your next RC. It really is quite a very quick and convenient way of having multiple transmitters and multiple RCs that can run off of one range extender. But hopefully that's not too confusing and it's easy enough to follow and understand. But that's quite a lot to take in, so let's call it a day for now and wrap this one up. So there you have it. That's how easy it is to switch through different cars or different transmitters, or if you want to swap them both. As I say, as something that could be set up as at an event, you've got the option of basically an unlimited number of transmitters, and once you've bound 10 receivers to it, you could just hand out the receivers, or you can have 10 different RCs all bound to it. But then it also only takes seconds to put it into bind mode if you wanted to bind a car to it that's not. And because you can just put the receiver into bind mode, you can have multiple cars set up on a transmitter or multiple transmitters, and as long as their car settings are on that, it doesn't affect it once it binds to this. All your endpoints are set, all your controls are set on your transmitter. You're just using this as a repeater, and the receiver that you're binding this to in the RC, it's going to carry all your settings all through to it. So hopefully that makes sense and it's easy enough to follow. But thanks again for watching Wtf Rc Cars. If you find this kind of content useful, entertaining, or just interesting, don't forget to like and subscribe, hit the notification bell, share to friends and family, and catch you guys again in the next one.